Good morning students. Today we are going to start with a new chapter of civics, chapter number 2, secularism. As you remember, in the previous chapter we studied about the Indian Constitution, and in that we did 5 features of Indian Constitution, and the fifth feature and the most important feature of Indian Constitution was secularism. Now what does secularism say? Secularism is a principle that involves two basic propositions. The first is the strict separation of the state from religious institutions. The second is that people of different religions and beliefs are equal before the law. We can see over here, no religion is being considered as a state religion. State says that everybody is equal before the law and we all should live with equality. Now, according to the Constitution, secularism means that state does not promote any particular religion, which means that there is a separation of religion from the state. There is no official religion. If the state will going to announce or going to promote any religion as a state religion, so there will be conflict and inequality, injustice in the country. Even the image itself clearly indicates that religion and state are in two different ways. Now the question arises, why it is important to separate religion from the state? It is important for the country to function democratically. Majority religious group can discriminate or persecute minority religious group. We have a very sore past. Need to protect the freedom of individuals to exit or embrace any religion. There are three objectives of a secular state. One, that one religious community does not dominate other. Means one religion cannot dominate the other religion. Second, that some members do not dominate other members of the same religious community. Means in a religion, you can say the upper class cannot dominate the lower class. Third, that the state does not enforce any particular religion nor take away the religious freedom of individuals. Even the image says, united we stand. Now, as we have discussed earlier that it is important to separate religion and state. So, how it can happen, or what are the ways to prevent domination of religion in majority? What does the state do, or what the religion should do? The first thing that the state do is that strategy of distancing state from religion. In this, it means that it is neither ruled by any religious group nor does it support any one religion. In India, law courts, schools and government offices are not allowed to display or promote any one religion. The second strategy is strategy of non-interference. This means that in order to respect the sentiments of all religions and not to interfere with religious practices, but it makes exceptions for particular religious practices, that is for the Sikh community. Let me explain this. Here, if the state has given any law or they passes any law, it has to be followed by everybody. For example, here in our country, all the people who drive two-wheelers, they have to wear helmet. Only the exception is given to the Sikh community, because if they go into wear helmet, they have to take off their turban, which is against their religious sentiment. So the state has given exception to the Sikh community that instead of wearing the head helmet, they can wear the front helmet. The third strategy is strategy of intervention. Interference and intervention are the two different terminologies. Interfere, where the state does not interfere into any religious matter. Neither they interfere into the ways of worship, the religious festivals they follow, anything. Intervention where the crime is involved in the name of religion. For example, the beliefs, the people, the kind of worship the people follow, in that the strategy of intervention is being followed. It means that state has a right to intervene in the religious practices that leads to crime or torture to a particular section of society. For example, women, children, Dalits, Adivasis and poor. There are certain examples also. Earlier, when Rajput kings used to die or the soldiers used to die in the battle, the women used to also die with them, saying that they are also brave, or they wanted to be a part of their husband's bravery. But later on, that was known as Johar. But later on, the system became sati, where the women were forcefully told to kill themselves on the name of religion. The second big example in India is Bal Vivah, or in Hindi we call it as a child marriage. Here, on the name of religion, there was child marriage in Rajasthan, in Haryana, in parts of Uttar Pradesh. And it's a big crime because these children are supposed to study instead of child marriage. And one of the major thing that was being abolished, and one of the major things the state has to intervene, was the abolition of untouchability. As you all know, in the ancient period, there were 4 Varna systems: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. So they started the untouchability system, wherein the upper caste does not want to mingle up or does not want to stay with the lower caste. In this way, the untouchability, and it's a heinous crime, the untouchability was started. So abolishing evil practices of untouchability from the society and bring equality. There is no harm in touching, whether it belongs to any race, any caste, any gender, etc. Thank you. This is from my side.